Good morning, lovelies. ZoëTwoDots here with some more Pokemon Go goodness for you, and today we're getting into some PvP prep, the Boulder Cup, what you kind of need to know, a few little tips and tricks of getting involved in the Boulder Cup, which is the first themed tournament that is going to be happening through the sylph.gg. So, y'all wanted competitive leagues and tournaments, the community is making it themselves. Massive thank you to the Sylph team, to Training Tips and to Mystic7, those guys and many more people for spearheading this collaborative operation, getting this all running together, and for making it all work pretty much. So, let's get into the Boulder Cup. What is the Boulder Cup? How do we do these Sylph tournaments? What's happening? So essentially, if you want to get involved in one of these tournaments, you probably need to track down your local Discord server or your local, Facebook page, group, whatever it might be that is, your local hub for raiding together, trading together. Where do you guys all go and share your information? Track down your group. There's plenty of them listed on the Sylph website as well. I'll link down below to the map of, if you ever search worldwide, if you're ever traveling as well, there's plenty of, international groups that you can join for when you're going to be staying in a certain area. Join for free and kind of get involved with those groups as well to, find out when raids are happening, find out when tournaments are happening, things like that. So that link will be down there too. But essentially, get involved on there. Make sure you've got yourself a Sylph account. Again, links, sign up for a little free Sylph account. And then on the day of the tournament, you'll be given a code by the person organizing these tournaments, or if you're the organizer, you will give out a code. Again, all of the information to try and set this up yourself, if you haven't got a Discord that's functioning, is in the description. But you'll be given a code and you'll get into a kind of matchup, like a matchmaking system done through the Sylph software, which is great. Essentially, what you're going to be wanting to bring to the table is 6 Pokemon. No, you don't use 6 at a time in PvP, you use 3, but you've got a pool of 6 to pick from, and the PvP matches are run in the Great League as well, so all under 1500 CP. For the Boulder Cup, we're only allowed to bring in Pokemon that have at least one typing in ground, rock, fighting, and steel. So it can be a dual type Pokemon, like maybe it is a water and ground type Pokemon, but it has to feature at least one of those 4 typings in its dual typing. Now it's actually surprisingly a lot of Pokemon to pick from. So if we jump into the game, now say for example you want to search through every possible Pokemon that would be available for this league, all you're going to do is type in ground, comma, fighting, comma, rock, comma, steel, and any Pokemon listed in this list, ignoring the CP for a second, anything here is eligible. Look at that, I didn't know Empoleon was dual type, it's half steel, there you go. All of these Pokemon are types of Pokemon that are eligible. So the thing is though, we want things that are under 1500 CP. So there's plenty of things up here that I've got, like the Tyranitars, that just wouldn't fly for the Great League. So what we can type in is CP -1500 and, so put in the ampersand, the symbol, the and symbol, and then type in ground, comma, fighting, comma, rock, and steel, comma, steel. And there you go. That is showing you everything that's currently in your possession that is under 1500 CP and is either containing at least one ground, fighting, rock, or steel element in its typing. And you can kind of have a bit of a scroll through here, see what you've already got that's high enough. Maybe you're like, maybe you've got something like, a nice decent Heracross that's already around the 1500 mark, that's, got a good move set on it, things like that. You don't need to maybe invest into something else if you don't want to put too much into PvP. Or you can go all the way down the bottom and say like, hey, I've got a crazy good Meltan, I should evolve one of my Meltan up to Melmetal, power it up a little bit, things like that. So there's crazy amounts of options for Pokemon that will fly in this league. Now for myself personally, you can already see that I've got a Magneton there that I have been kind of like testing out in PvP. It's named as such. It's already got been maxed right to the borderline. That might be something that I want to consider bringing into the Boulder League, but it has got a whole bunch of weaknesses as well. So let's jump into some like weaknesses and type effectivenesses of the Pokemon that we're going to be seeing. So first of all, we're using Magneton as the example, steel types. It's a combo type, but steel types are weak to fighting, fire, and ground types. Doubly weak to those ones. Ground types are going to be weak to grass, ice, and water types, doubly weak. Fighting is doubly weak to fairy, psychic, and flying. And then the rock types are the ones getting hit the hardest. These are the ones we're going to want to avoid realistically. They are doubly weak to water, fighting, ground, grass, and and steel type moves. All of those are the other types that are involved in the competition. So realistically, unless you've like got some crazy strat and you think that you can maybe surprise someone with a weird rock combo type, just avoid the rock types. They're gonna get absolutely eaten up in the Great League, in the Boulder Cup. So just don't do it. Things that you may want to consider though. I need to evolve a few things and get them ready. So one thing that I certainly did on my team in general for the Great League, but especially for the Boulder League, is going to be a Whiscash. So I'm really hoping this one doesn't evolve over 1,500. It shouldn't. I'm going to evolve this this little danger noodle right here, the Bad News Eel. Wonder attack defense. Yeah, it's 15 attack, 15 defense. I think its HP is pretty average, but I'm comfortable having the two, like, you know, good stats in the first two. Let's evolve this one. Fingers crossed it doesn't go over. But essentially, Whiscash is really, really good in just about everything because it only has one weakness. It is only weak to grass because of its ground and water typing. It is incredibly weak to grass, but having one weakness is pretty damn good coverage. So, it went way over. Oh well, I can use that for Ultra League. I need to find... we really need a preview for evolving stuff now that PvP is a thing. I'm gonna go through and make sure that one of these is decent, or try and find one before the weekend that is decent, a Barboach. Who would have thought that I would ever be hunting for a Barboach? Find one of these, get myself a Whiscash, because that is going to be something that every man and his dog is going to have, but at the same time it'd be kind of silly not to take one in because of that just effectivity. It's got only one weakness, and the only thing that you can bring into the Boulder Cup that will be useful against it realistically is going to be something like a Breloom. That Breloom there is way too high, but I have got a Shroomish, and this one I know is not going to go over because it's tiny, it's lucky, and it's 98%. It is beautiful. I love Breloom. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. So I'm sitting pretty knowing this isn't going to evolve over 1,500. And now I've got a purpose for it as well for the Boulder League in PvP. So Breloom having both quick and charge moves in the grass, you know, universe. As well, a few people that have already done their Boulder League, their Boulder Cup, have said that Breloom can take a couple of hits. It's a fairly decent little tank there and deals the punches as well. So I'll be re-rolling those moves as well to most likely have the grass charge move. I mean, either way, it's going to be getting stabbed from grass or fighting. And then I'll get rid of Sludge Bomb as well. I've still yet to decide how many of these I want to unlock a second moveset on. I honestly don't think that I'm going to be taking out, you know, the victory on Sunday at Com Day in the Boulder League, but I certainly want to get the best feel for it as well. So realistically, I will probably power up or maybe unlock, you know, the second move on 3 or 4 of them. Maybe not even the second move on that many, but power up to, you know, the precipice. Probably 4 of them. And then keep my 5th and 6th ones as kind of like the filler. To kind of gauge a feel on the day if people are using, you know, really always using this Pokemon. Maybe one of those filler Pokemon can be my, you know, little sneak tactic. But realistically, because it is my first try in a like actual cup, and PvP, like battling, was never my main forte in the main series games. I've played every single game ever, just about, in the Pokemon history. I've been playing since I was a kid, but battling was still never my favorite element of the game, and I never learned a lot of strategies. My strategy was always just to make my Pokemon big tanks, even if they weren't type effective, and just kind of solo sweep with my big chunky Pokemon that were my favorite. Now that's not smart strategy. Now as a, you know, fully fledged adult, I would like to get better at strategizing, at making a smart team, and something that you can go, aha, I see what type you're using there. I'm going to use a smart switch out and use something that's more effective, or, you know, perhaps try and bait them out, make someone bait out all of their shields and things like that. Try to be a bit more strategic about it. So another Pokemon that has been recommended, and I've seen recommended as well for the Boulder League, is Medicham. So I'm going to power these on up in my own time as well. So I have got here as well a Medicham that is perfectly under the 1,500. It's 98% as well, which is nice. And it's got pretty decent coverage in terms of like moves and weaknesses. So it's only weak to Flying, Ghost, and Fairy, which aren't going to be moves that are potentially especially seen in the Boulder Cup. Maybe someone comes in using an Aerodactyl, because Aerodactyl has, you know, is part rock type. Someone comes in with an Aerodactyl with some flying type moves against your Medicham. You've got two other Pokemon that you could switch to that might have, you know, electric moves or steel moves, or your, you know, Whiscash with some water moves that are gonna absolutely decimate Aerodactyl. So having that knowledge of what your, you know, your other Pokemon in your party are to swap out for, making sure you have got decent coverage, is gonna be the best strategy. I'm gonna leave some additional links in the description as well for some really good resources, certain websites that I feel like kind of lay out if you know, search for Medicham. You can search for that Pokemon, look at all its weaknesses, look at all of its moves, and then a couple other websites that kind of break down the, specifically like the PvP damage per second, how much you're charging up your charge moves, things like that. So kind of help you make the correct decisions on what moves to put on your Pokemon, what types to pick, which Pokemon to pick, things like that. But for the moment, I'm really salty about that Whiscash. Oh, poor little Whiscash went way over. I was really sketchy on that one. For the moment, I know that I'm going to be taking in my Medicham. I'm going to be taking in my Breloom there. My brain was like, oh, I could take in my Kangaskhan, but Kangaskhan's normal type, but it has fighting type moves, so no, I won't be taking that in. I really would love to take in a Melmetal as well. I've seen that being a pretty popular pick for people that have already done their Boulder Cup. However, all of my Meltans have been like in the 30 and 50% IVs, and I'm really not willing to spend 400 candy on one that's not that decent. And then now seeing, you know, an 800 CP Pokemon go way over 1,500, I'm too scared to evolve either one of my two mildly decent IV ones, just in case. Having a bit of a scroll through as well, something I might take in is, again, the Magneton that I've already got powered up there. There's really quite a lot to pick from. And I do need to like sit down and properly think out which other Pokemon I'm taking in. I'm definitely gonna be looking for things that have got like the minimum or the least amount of weaknesses, that are gonna have the most amount of like, you know, effectivenesses against other Pokemon. You know, say for example, something like this, like a Torterra is grass and ground, but you can clearly see here it's got dark type moves. There are Pokemon that, despite their typing, are gonna have additional moves with different typings. So you might be picking a Pokemon, or you might not think to pick a particular Pokemon, but because of its moves that don't really match up with its type, you might have a, you know, a sneaky little ace up your sleeve, by taking the time to, you know, put some things aside. Again though, just scrolling through, there's such a variety of Pokemon. Like imagine just rolling in with a Corsola, like an absolutely beefed out, I mean you can't really get up to 1,500, but just a beefed out Corsola would be bizarre. There's certain things that you could definitely bring in to be a bit of a surprise tactic. Maybe they'll get, you know, kind of cleaned up, but the fact that you've maybe put your opponent on the back foot and made them swap out earlier could work to your advantage. There is quite a variety of things to potentially bring in. So I'm definitely going to be taking a bit of extra time to pick out the rest of my team, but for now it's going to be the Medicham, the Breloom. I'm going to go find a proper little bad news eel to evolve to be the correct CP for Whiscash there as well. Probably gonna take the risk and take in the Magnemite. It is Legacy move as well. Using this in battle, it charges so fast. The fast move charges ridiculously. So that's pretty fun. And I could always add a steel type move onto it as well for the second charge attack. Again, I'd also recommend Melmetal. That is a decent little beastie too. Again, I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze in another Meltan box before then. And I haven't claimed my Meltan yet either, because I want to take it around for photos, because the other ones despawn way too quickly for like proper photos and things. So, I mean, this one, I could check actually. I could look up what the CP would be for that one. Maybe it's decent, I don't know right now off the top of my head. But I'm just not willing to catch it just yet. So let me know in the comments down below, what are you guys taking into the Boulder League tournament? Have you got a really sneaky Pokemon that you think is going to catch everyone off guard? Is this your first try at like a proper league tournament, at a proper PvP comp? Are you a little bit nervous? Are you excited? How are you feeling about it? I'm keen to get into it. I'm excited to see how these Pokemon that I don't really use that often go. As you guys know, I'm all about the baby league, all about the baby Pokemon, cute kind of stuff. Besides Breloom, I haven't really used any of those Pokemon that much in Pokemon Go, in regular Pokemon even. So I'm excited to see how they go. As for this month's community day as well, I will be most likely in Sydney at the Botanic Gardens. So if you are part of the Sydney squad, I will be seeing you guys there. you guys now know what I'm bringing on my team as well, so you can probably counter me fairly decently too if we do get matched up, but we'll see how we go. Otherwise, guys, again, let me know in the comments down below, what are you taking in for the Boulder League? Have you already had your Boulder League? How did you go? And what are you hoping will be the theme for next month's cup? I'm curious to see if they take it like the, you know, like the KANTO kind of badge route, or if they spice it up, like alternating each month. I'm curious to see what they do with it. So, hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful morning, noon, night, whatever time it is for you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.